Hi everyone, good morning, happy Friday. I'm going to be gone today, so you're going to watch a video, this video, complete the worksheet like normal, and then get nice and prepared for your quiz on Monday over polynomial long division. I wanted to only save one learning objective for today. The only thing you guys have to know how to do and learn how to do is be able to divide polynomials. So I want to start by reviewing long division. So long division was a process you probably learned in like 2nd or 3rd grade, maybe 4th grade. Usually students don't like it because when they find out they can use their calculator, they think it's useless. But we're going to review this process of long division, and then we're going to bridge our way into polynomials, adding in variables, and use long division to divide those. So to start with, if we have 84 divided by 7, I can kind of rewrite this in like a different format so I can easily divide. So if you remember, we're looking to see how many times 7 goes into that first number 8. So how many times does 7 go into 8? It goes in once. Then you take the 1, you multiply it by 7, and you write that number below your initial term, I guess in this case the tens term in my divisor, 8. Okay, then we're going to subtract. So I have 8 minus 7, which is 1. And remember, you got to bring down that 4. Repeat the process. So what times 7 gets to 14? It's 2. 2 times 7 is 14. We subtract, so we're going to have a remainder of 0. So what is 84 divided by 7? It is 12. So next up, we're going to do 218 divided by 18. So I'm going to set it up in the same way. So I'll take 18 divided into 218. How many times does 18 go into 21? It goes in once. 1 times 18 is 18. I subtract and get 3. Bring down my 8. How many times does 18 go into 38? 38, I think 18 goes in just twice. So we're going to multiply 2 times 18, and we're going to end up with 36. We subtract those, and we get a remainder of 2. So my answer is 12, remainder 2. And that's how I kind of write that long division with that remainder at the end. So notice the difference between the two problems. In the first one, we didn't have a remainder. So like 7 went into 84 a whole number of times. But 18 doesn't go into 218 a whole number of times. It's 12 point something. So that's where that remainder comes from. So we're going to use that idea to divide x minus 1 into x squared plus 3x minus 3. So I'm going to set it up in the same way. So I'm going to take x minus 1, and I'm going to divide it into x squared plus 2x minus 3. Then I'm going to ask myself, how many times does x go into x squared? So in other words, what is x squared divided by x? So it's kind of like, product of powers, but now we're doing the division of powers. So instead of adding the exponents, we subtract them. So x to the 2 minus 1, which is the same thing as x. So x goes into x squared x number of times. And then I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to multiply x by x and negative 1 and write them below the number we're dividing into. So that will give me x squared and a negative x. Now, from here, just like we did above, we are going to subtract x squared minus x from the two terms above it. So x squared minus x squared, that is 0. So those, in other words, like cancel out, subtract out, 0 out. And then I have 2x minus a negative x. So 2x minus a negative x, maybe we come over here real quick, 2x minus a negative x. Oh, that's the same thing as 2x plus x, which is 3x. So 2x minus a negative x is 3x. I bring down my negative 3. And then I repeat the process. So how many times does x go into 3x? So x goes into 3x 3 times. So if we do 3x divided by x, my x's kind of divide out and I end up with just 3. So then I multiply. 3 times x, which is 3x. 3 times negative 1, which is negative 3. I subtract, and I end up getting 3x minus 3x, which is 0, and negative 3 minus a negative 3, which is also 0. So if I divide x minus 1 into x squared plus 2x minus 3, I end up getting x plus 3 with a remainder of 0. So I can check my work, because I do have a remainder of 0, I can check my work by then multiplying the number I divided into my polynomial, x minus 1, by x plus 3. So I'm going to FOIL here. So I have x times x, which is x squared, negative 1 times x, which is negative 1x, x times 3, which is positive 3x, and then negative 1 times 3, which is negative 3, which simplifies to the number I was originally dividing into, x squared plus 2x minus 3. So the whole idea of this process is to determine if x minus 1 divides into x squared plus 2x minus 3. So the examples are going to get a little bit harder than this, but ultimately that's what I'm just trying to see if you can do, is use the process of long division to divide x minus 1 into a longer polynomial. All right, so now the difficulty is going to jump up a bit on this one because now I have an a value in the number I'm dividing into that's greater than 1. In this case, it's 4. So I'm going to set it up in the exact same way. So x minus 2 divided into 4x squared plus x minus 14, okay? And then I'm seeing how many times does x go into 4x squared. So x goes into 4x squared. If I divide that into it, it goes in 4x times. So I'm going to write a 4x above 4x squared. I'm going to distribute the 4x to the x minus 2, and I end up with 4x squared minus 8x. From here, I have to subtract. So I end up with, 4x squared minus 4x squared is 0, and then x minus a negative 8. So x minus a negative 8x is going to end up giving me 9x. So I have 9x. Then I repeat the process. So how many times does x go into 9x? So x goes into 9x 9 times. So I'm going to do an addition of 9 behind 4x there. And then I'm going to distribute. So so 9 times x and 9 times negative 2. Before I do, I should bring down my minus 14. I end up getting 9x minus 18. So if I subtract these, the 9x minus 9x gives me 0. The negative 14 minus a negative 18. It ends up giving me a positive 4. Because minus a negative is plus. So I have a remainder of 4. So how I want you to write that? So I want you to you can write remainder 4, or you can write this as 4x plus 9 plus your remainder 4 over the number you're dividing into your polynomial x minus 2. So I'll repeat that. So if you have a remainder, you can either say, hey, I've got a remainder of 4. So literally write the word remainder, write the number 4, or you can write it as the addition of 4 over the number you divided into your polynomial. In this case, it was x minus 2. All right, so for this last one here, we're going to take 3x plus 1 and divide it into a 4-termed polynomial. So I'm going to take 3x plus 1, and I'm going to divide it into 3x to the third minus 5x squared plus 10x minus 3. Okay? So, same process. How many times does 3x go into 3x to the third? It goes in x squared times. X squared times 3x is 3x to the third. X squared times 1 is a positive 1x squared. I'm going to subtract. I end up getting negative 6x squared. Okay. Then I'm going to bring down my 10x. Ask myself, how many times does 3x go into negative 6x squared? It goes in negative 2x times. Okay, so then I have negative 2x times 3x, which is negative 6x squared, negative 2x times 1, which is negative 2x. I subtract, I end up getting 12x, and then I'm going to bring down my minus 3. So then finally, how many times 3x go into 12x? It goes in 4 times. So I'm going to multiply 3x times 4, which is 12x, and 4 times 1, which is positive 4, and I'm going to subtract those. So what I end up getting is a remainder of negative 7. Okay, and remember how we write those. We plus on top here, we add negative 7 over 3x plus 1. So as you're going through this process, take your time. Remember when to multiply, when to add, when to subtract. Take your time, get through these. There's going to be a couple of these to practice for homework tonight. And then just remember, you're going to have a test on Wednesday of next week. And we are, in fact, going to do a quiz on Monday. So Quiz Monday. It'll be over long division polynomial. We'll make sure you're nice and prepared for that on Monday morning. And in the meantime, make sure to finish your homework. Have a good weekend.